What is going on, Fight Night Picks family? We are back with another episode of Makai's Money Making Plays. You already know what we're getting into. We got the lock of the week, my most confident picks, favorite underdogs, and we're going to wrap the video up with the parlays. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and let's get the video underway. Looking back to UFC Noche, yes, I dropped the ball yet again. Very ugly streak for me going on right now, but I'm definitely looking to turn things around. I know I've said that time and time again, but I have a lot of confidence going into UFC Perth. I like a lot of the fighters on the card. I like some of the lines as well. I definitely like the underdogs that are available, and they're at pretty good prices. Going back to UFC Noche though, like you guys found out just like I did that Jared Gordon got hit by a car, the day of the fight, just like I did. So really couldn't do much with that. Salute to him, still going out there and performing. Unfortunately, he ended up getting knocked out. It is what it is. Louis Carule also fumbled the bag, but hey man, this is gambling. It is what it is. But moving on to UFC Perth, like I said, I like a lot of the underdogs. Definitely sniped one here that I'm super confident in. I believe his opponent isn't going to have much for him on the feet. I don't want to give it away, but let's get into UFC Perth's lock of the week. Cameron Rouston sitting at about plus 140, plus 150 on some books. Definitely think he can get it done. Not only by decision, I think he's live to knock out Andre Petroski as well. When I look at Andre Petroski, I feel as though he's too wishy-washy, man. If you go back and look throughout his, his record, yes, he has a couple of wins against, I guess you want to call, they're taller opponents. Like you look at the, Dylan Butka win. You look at the Josh Frimm win, but these guys aren't the caliber of striker that Cameron Rouston is. If you look at what he did against Edmund Shabazian, I was actually at UFC Atlanta. He was getting picked apart for 3 rounds. Edmund Shabazian was able to, defend the takedowns very well. And then in that 3rd round, he almost finished Petroski as well. Petroski has been knocked out twice in the UFC, once by Michel Pieta, who has that, freakish burst and power that I do think I see, a couple of elements of, not necessarily Michel Pieta, but that, that burst and power in Cameron Rouston with that frame that he has. And he also was knocked out by, a head, not a head clash, but he ran into Jacob Malkoon's hip and was knocked out. I can't depend on a guy who's getting knocked out like that. And not only, not like that, but also getting knocked out by Michel Pieta, who, yes, at one point in time looked like he could have been, a very high caliber fighter. It is what it is. I gave you guys the pick of Daukaus a couple weeks ago. I could, hang my hat on that at least. But going back to Cameron Rouston, like I said, Petroski is a little too wishy-washy for me. I do not like his striking at all. I feel as though he, primarily depends on overhands, big hooks. Yes, he can, get in a clinch and do a little bit of damage, but I feel as though Cameron Rouston is much more nastier, much more mean in a clinch, elbows, knees. We saw what he did on Contender Series. I went back and watched some of his fights in King in the Ring, where he fought, I believe, 2 times that night and ended up winning the King in the Ring title by a leg kick TKO. So the dude is very nasty of a striker. I like his not only his size, but his frame for this division. The only worry that I might have about him coming into this fight is how is he going to look with the weight cut, because it is short notice. Not necessarily. He did have 4 or 5 weeks to prepare for this, so he's not a huge 185er. Like if you look at Petroski compared to Rouston, I feel as though Petroski would have a little bit of a harder time getting ready for the weight cut for this weight, for this fight. But I don't think Rouston's going to have a huge issue, let alone, he is also a hometown fighter, fighting at Perth. So he's got everything going for him. I think he's going to walk in here. I think he's going to put on a tremendous performance. And like I said, I do think he is live for a knockout, which I'm not mistaken is sitting at about plus, let me give you the number right now. Last time I saw it was like plus 500. So I'm definitely going to take a stab at that as well. Let's see. Rouston TKO is, plus 500. So definitely looking into that. Like I said, man, I know there's some red flags, or you guys might have red flags about his takedown defense because you look at the fight with Torres Finney, but I feel as though Torres Finney is much more physically stronger than Andre Petroski, and he's really just utilizing his strength to take guys down. And if you actually look back to that fight, Cameron Rouston was doing a lot of damage on the feet, and if I'm not mistaken, that fight also ended in a split because he had so much success on the feet. I'll go back and verify. I don't know if it was Finney unanimous or if it was a split, but let's see. Okay, yeah, it was unanimous, but there was a lot of, arguments online to be made of, Rouston possibly winning that fight because of how nasty his striking is. I feel as though Petroski is much more fundamental of a wrestler. I feel as though he's going to have a lot more success defending the takedowns in this fight. I feel as though if, Petroski is a guy who I have seen slow down in the second round as well. So if he's failing on those takedowns and then that second round comes around with the short notice fight, short notice camp, I feel as though Rouston will be able to turn up that pressure and possibly get him out of there round 2, early round 3, somewhere around there. I think Rouston is live for a knockout. Didn't want to take the knockout as the lock of the week. If it comes through, hey, I gave you the option to play that, but I'm going with Cameron Rouston straight down the middle, plus 150, plus 140 on some books, depending on where you get it at. But I am going with Cameron Rouston to get it done. And I got a lot of confidence in him, man. CKB to get another W on this card. I got a couple of other guys, coming through with a win here, but I'm definitely more impressed with Cameron Rouston. I feel as though he's like a middleweight Dan Hooker. That's kind of like the fight style that I see from him. Pressure, always walking forward. The striking game is pretty solid, and I think he could defend the takedowns pretty well. So give me Cameron Rouston for UFC Perth lock of the week, and we're turning it around with a W in this matchup. Let's move on to the most confident picks. I got 4 of them for you. I'm going to pull them up now. We got Jake Matthews, Jack Jenkins, Navajo Sterling, and Brando Perisic, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Jake Matthews, like I told you guys in the prediction show, I have been fading Neil Magny in his last 5 fights. He beat me twice. I don't think he's going to beat me here. Jake Matthews is a very well-rounded fighter. I believe in his striking a lot more than Neil Magny, who doesn't really utilize his jab for as long as he is. He's a tall guy, but we just saw Jake Matthews be able to take down Chidi Njokuani, who's way nastier of a striker than Neil Magny on the feet. Took him down, or didn't even take him down, got on his back within a minute, subbed him up. I think something similar can happen against a Neil Magny here in this position, who was also, on his back against Zaleski dos Santos in his last fight. Yes, he got the comeback win. Dos Santos gassed out, and Magny was able to get, a comeback win like he did against Mike Malott. But Jake Matthews, he's been in the UFC for a while, since like 2013, I want to say. The dude's only, 31 years old. He's got a lot of experience. He's very crafty, very well-rounded. I think he's going to make pretty easy work in Neil Magny. I know he's sitting at a pretty, pricey number, minus 410, but I do have a lot of confidence in Jake Matthews. He is probably my most confident of the most confident picks. Next up, we got Jack Jenkins, who the real reason why I have him as a most confident pick here is because Ramon Tavares is moving up to 2 featherweight. I never looked at him as a large guy for, the bantamweight division. I know he missed weight a couple of times. I one day just happened, so randomly happened to come across his Instagram. I have seen him, hitting the pads, hitting the pads, things of that nature. He does look pretty slick. His boxing has always been crisp, but I feel as though Jack Jenkins is more complete of a striker. I feel as though that head kick that he dropped Gabriel Santos with, I think that's going to be a valuable weapon for him here. I think Tavares is just a little too one-dimensional with the boxing. I feel as though Jack Jenkins has a lot more in his tool bag. I think he'll be able to open up Ramon Tavares as well. I think he has a tendency to get split open quite a lot. I know we saw it. I'm not sure if he got cut up in that Davey Grant fight. It's kind of hard to rewatch most of these guys' most recent fights if you don't catch them live. I do watch pretty much every card. For the ones that I do miss, I definitely go back. But with the UFC Fight Pass app, man, it's trash right now. So if you guys got any, plugs, on how I could watch the most recent fight, especially if it's like a guy turning around like Cameron Rowson. I can't watch his Contender Series fight again, even though I watched it live. I remember, but watching it again would definitely help. Just having the highlights suck. But if you guys have some plugs, please let me know. Be greatly appreciated. Do some more research. But yeah, Jack Jenkins, I feel as though he's way more complete than Ramon Tavares. He got gifted that win to Series City, lost to Davey Grant. Moving up to featherweight here, I think he's going to be not necessarily bullied. He is a little taller than Jack Jenkins, does have a 2-inch reach advantage. But like I said, I think Jack Jenkins, he's pretty clean. He's pretty complete compared to Ramon Tavares, who really just hangs his hat on the boxing. So I like Jack Jenkins in this spot. And they're not the co-main event anymore. I believe they're like the featured fight of the night. Should be a lot of violence. I do think Jack Jenkins comes through. Next up, we got Navajo Sterling, who I do believe is going to knock out Rodolfo Bellato. Can't rely on Bellato anymore. He's been knocked out, 3 times we can call it. The Paul Craig fight ended how it did. Yes, it was a illegal upkick, but I feel as though Bellato was probably on his way to losing that fight anyway. He was getting picked apart by Paul Craig on the feet, which was very surprising because if you know Paul Craig, he is a grappler. So for him to be hesitant on the feet with Paul Craig, and now you're getting Navajo Sterling, who is a clean cut striker from CKB who can put his shots together. We saw him have the knockout power, or at least glimpses of it, against Ivan Erslan in his last fight in that 3rd round. Bellato does not really move his head much. He's walking forward, likes to pressure guys, get you up against the cage, and throw a lot of heavy bombs. I think he's going to walk into something, and Navajo Sterling is going to clip him, and we're going to see Bellato go face first for the 4th time, really. So I like Navajo Sterling. Probably him and Jake Matthews, I was really tossing and turning on who's the most confident of the most confident. But I do like Navajo Sterling to get a finish, sitting at minus 235. But yeah, I'm really confident in Navajo Sterling. Next, we got Brando Perisic. I really like what I've seen in his tape, especially against Elisha Ellison, who's way more patient. I feel as though there's going to be a lot more openings for Brando to, close the distance. He can also take Ellison down, do some damage there, probably get a sub, probably get a TKO. It's not a matter of if Perisic wins, in my opinion. It's a matter of how. And I think he's way too violent for Elisha. I don't think Elisha is going to be able to, he likes to not necessarily mitigate risks, but he likes to manage the fight. Like, how you have like game managers in football? Like I call Jalen Hurts a game manager. If you're an Eagles fan, hey, it is what it is. I respect him for winning, but I look at him as like a high qualified game manager. But yeah, I feel as though Elisha is like a fight manager where he wants to dictate everything. I don't think he's going to be able to do that against the Balkan Bear, who is very aggressive, has some nasty power, and can, take the fight to the ground as well. I think Perisic is live for a finish as well. So I like him to round off the most confident picks, but I am going to add maybe one more. Not going to throw it up on the screen. I was tossing and turning on, if I wanted to add this fighter in there, but I'm going to add them. I got 2. I'm going to add Tom Nolan, and I'm going to add Alexia Dayanara. Tom Nolan, I feel as though he is similar to like the Jack Jenkins breakdown, or maybe even, the Jake Matthews. I feel as though he's way more complete than Charlie Campbell, who really relies just on his power and, his striking. Tom Nolan could take him down. I feel like Tom Nolan could submit him. He could definitely knock him out. He's a slick striker, tall, lanky. Definitely going to give Charlie Campbell a lot of issues. So I like him at minus 148 as well. Very nice price tag where, we've seen him in his last fight. He was what? Oh, he was a coin flip against Borshev, and against Alex Reyes, he was sitting at minus 1,500. I know that fight didn't really go as a lot of people, wanted, whereas Campbell finished Reyes, but I can't trust Charlie Campbell. I've seen him hurt. Yes, I saw Tom Nolan hurt as well, but I don't think Charlie Campbell was really that good. Yes, he got a win against Trevor Peek, but Trevor Peek isn't that good in my opinion, either. He's more reckless than anything, doesn't have a lot of, setups or fundamentals. So I think Tom Nolan's going to be way too, clean for him. And then Alexia Thayanara, I think this is a really good matchup, not only for Luma, well, not necessarily for Luma, but this is kind of one of those matchups where, if you guys remember in my Charles Johnson breakdown against his fight against Loner Kavanaugh, where I felt like, he deserved somebody ranked at the time. Well, it was before, no, my bad, my apologies. The Charles Johnson versus Ramazan Temirov breakdown, where I said, I felt as though Charles deserved a ranked opponent rather than finding somebody who was making their debut. And Luma, I believe she's ranked. If she's not ranked, then I definitely thought she would get a ranked opponent next. But they're feeding her, well, they're giving Alexia to Luma because I feel as though the UFC has a lot more, they see a lot more potential in Alexia, and I definitely see that potential too. I think she can mix it up, in that women's strawweight division. I feel as though she's nasty on the feet, she's nasty on the mat, definitely gives a lot of girls trouble, and I think she's going to give Luma a lot of trouble too. Don't know if she finishes her. I do think Alexia gets it done by decision, but if you guys are playing on like FanDuel or something like that and you could get, the double chance, probably go Alexia by sub or decision. So I like Tom Nolan. I like Alexia to add in to the most confident picks. Moving on to the favorite underdogs, I have 3 of them for you. We're going with Big Dominic Reyes plus 210, Louis Sutherland, and Jamie Malarkey. I do like Dominic Reyes. I think he can win. I think the only reason why I didn't choose him as a lock of the week here, because I feel as though this is his most complete matchup since, his losing streak. Dustin Jacoby was probably the cleanest comparison that I can have for Carlos Ulberg out of his most recent fights, because Krylov is a grappler, and he was off a 2-year layoff, 1-year layoff, something of that order. And then Anthony Smith, it's Anthony Smith. Can't really depend on him. Has a lot of, you know what I was about to say. But yeah, Dominic Reyes versus Dustin Jacoby. I feel as though that was probably the best fight tape to watch if you're trying to see how he would fight Carlos Ulberg. Not saying he runs through Ulberg like he did to Jacoby, but I do see elements of success for Dominic Reyes within this matchup. I feel as the only thing that he's really gonna have to look out for is, overcommitting to the pressure and getting hit by that check left hook that Ulberg loves. Or, with him being a southpaw, it does open up the high kick for Ulberg, which he does utilize. He did utilize it pretty well against Nzechukwu. If you go back and look at that fight, they did really use it well against Ozdemir. I know he wasn't a southpaw, but he was a clean kickboxer too. But I just feel as though Dominic Reyes can, give Ulberg so many different looks that he's seen it before. But I just think that Reyes can mix it up a lot more than the fights that he's had most recently. The Jan Blachowicz fight. Both of these guys fought a different version of Jan. Dominic caught him in his prime, and he got clipped. And then Ulberg fought him coming off a 1-year layoff with a shoulder injury, and still was having a little bit of issues where a lot of people were tossing and turning on who won that fight. I definitely scored it. It could have not necessarily been a draw. I definitely, if it went 5 rounds, I think Jan was going to win that fight. So that's where I lean on that fight. But I do think Dominic Reyes is live to win. So I like him as a favorite underdog. I will have some action on him as well. So, definitely like him. Louis Sutherland sitting at, he's sitting at minus 105. I know some books you could get him at plus 100, like I'm seeing here on, I don't even know what these books are called. But yeah, you can get him minus 105, plus 100, wherever you get him. He's definitely sitting at underdog odds right now. But I think, like I said, originally I did lean Justin Tafa just because he's a hometown guy, doesn't have the knockout power. He's looking for the knockout all the time. But Louis Sutherland, he's way more tactical than Justin Tafa. And we've seen Tafa struggle with guys who were way cleaner than him, not only on the feet, but guys who were able to take him down. And that is definitely something that Louis Sutherland can do. Don't know if he finishes Tafa. If he does, I would probably lean by sub. Wonder what the sub line is. Might have something on that. Sutherland by sub. Plus 1,200. Yeah, definitely worth the stab. Because we know what the Tafa brothers' weakness is. If you take them down, you can finish them. So Louis Sutherland, he's definitely live to win the fight. Just matters on, how. Wouldn't be surprised if this fight goes the distance either. But if I was Louis Sutherland, I know he's super patient. When I was looking through his tape and stuff, does utilize the jab and it teeps pretty well. But if I was him, stay on that early and then find a good way to close the distance and get Justin Tafa down, submit him so I could cash this plus 1,200. But yeah, Louis Sutherland, really like him as an underdog. And Jamie Malarkey sitting at coin flip odds -1. Oh, he's yeah, a couple of books you could get him at -110. But yeah, I think Jamie Malarkey is better than Rolando Bedoya at this point. Bedoya hasn't won in the UFC. He's really just, his like I said in the breakdown, his claim to fame is that loss to Chaos Williams, where he did a lot better than Chaos Williams, but we just saw him get bullied by Jai Herbert down at, now at lightweight, where he was formerly a welterweight. Not really liking what I'm seeing from Bedoya. Originally, I did like him, but I just feel as though Jamie Malarkey could put it together a lot better. I like his hands. I like his wrestling ability, and I feel as though that's going to be a downfall for Rolando Bedoya. So I do like Jamie Malarkey to close out the favorite underdogs. Let's move on to my favorite section, your favorite section, the parlays. We got a little bit of action for you going on this card. So let's start it off. We're going with Jake Matthews, Navajo Sterling, -124. Yes, it's chalky, but this is very, very good money. If you're looking to throw down on it, I do think both, like I said, both of these guys most confident picks. Definitely think they're getting it done, possibly inside the distance too. So give me both of those. Sterling and Brando, like I said, two, of the other, Perisic, another most confident pick. Sterling and Tom Nolan. Basically, all three of those are most confident picks. Just swap them out however you want. +128. Then we're going with the lock of the week, Cam Rawson, Alexia Thainara, and Jake Matthews, +295. Malarkey, Sterling, Sutherland, +420. Really like that one there. Jenkins, Rouston, Perisic, and the over 1.5 Reyes versus Olberg. I don't think Olberg is going to knock out Reyes in the first round, and I don't see Reyes being over aggressive. I think the first round they're going to download a lot of each other. Definitely going to see Reyes be a little bit more patient. Probably drop the first round, but I think they'll come out into the second round and probably have a little bit of steam on them. +600, like that play there. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to have a lot of action on Jimmy Crute, but I do think there is a path for him to find a submission possibly in the first round, and I'm going to give him a shot. This is probably going to be my last chance on Jimmy Crute. I think we missed out on him last card when he got the sub because he looked pretty nasty trying to do it, but it's gonna be my last chance on Jimmy Crute. Inside the distance, like I said, the sub is possible. Sterling KO, which I'm strong on, and then we're going Oban Elliott. I do think he beats Jonathan Mikhailov. I'll lean decision, but Mikhailov's jiu-jitsu is pretty decent, but yeah, I'll just lean decision for Oban Elliott. +830, like that. Sterling, Dominic Reyes, underdog call, most confident, and Jake Matthews inside the distance. Like I said, I like Matthews to possibly find, a KO or a sub. I'm definitely leaning sub on Neil Magny. And wrap it all up, we're going with the big bang. Reyes, Nolan, Matthews, Rouston, Sterling, and Jenkins to all win, +2485 to wrap up the plays. I am very excited for UFC Perth. We had a week of no fights, and I'm just excited to see what we got going on. I really like, the top of the card with Olberg and Dominic Reyes. Title implications on the line. We got a lot of good fights in between. And, you know, we're getting it at a pretty good time. So definitely interested in UFC Perth. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of the lock of the week. I'm also going to, you'll see it here now, I'm going to drop my Cash App. A lot of you guys were, you know, asking how you could put, or asking for me to put the, you know, the YouTube money thing so you guys could send me some money to, you know, help increase the channel. I definitely appreciate it. I haven't hit the monetization goals yet. So if you guys would ever be so giving and kind, I'll drop my Cash App here if you guys want to donate. And, you know, I'll definitely give back however you guys see fit. But yeah, again, thank you guys for, you know, supporting me as we make this journey. And yeah, we got the weigh-in recap coming later this week, and of course we got the full card recap. So thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of the lock of the week, the most confident plays, favorite underdog, the parlays. Looking forward to hearing from you guys, and I'll see you later this week. Peace out.